Hello. Last month was July, which meant it was ArtFight season, which also meant I joined ArtFight for the first time ever, literally a week before the event started. Yeah, before I get into that, for those confused on what ArtFight is, it's a month-long event that only takes place in July, with 2 different theme teams each year. This year was fossils vs crystals. Psst. I was on crystals. You beat up your opposing team members with art of their OCs by attacking, and people can counterattack with art of your OCs by revenging. You're also not limited to the opposing team. You can also go for your own team members too, called a friendly fire. You just get less points than you would usually get. Overall, ArtFight is for every artist of every skill. You can do 1 attack or 100. It's up to you. Okay, now that the explanation is out of the way, let me just say that ArtFight was not a planned event. I have never even heard of ArtFight until I found a video about it in my feed. When I watched it, I thought, you can upload your OCs, and people make fan art of it? This is the perfect opportunity to bring them out. I would love to see art of them. I instantly signed myself up. I designed my profile and uploaded my 4 favorites OCs I spent 4 hours making refs for, plus my DND OC. I see a lot of people with complex, intricate DND OCs, and mine is literally just this emoji slapped on. But I thought it would be funny to put them there. By the time I was done setting everything up, I had 2 days left. So, I advertised myself in the Discord and looked for bookmarks until July 1st. Hit. I plan to attack people with either traditional art or digital art. So the next section will be split into each corresponding art, starting with all of my digital attacks. My first digital attack was for Jake's very cute stingray Sona named Jojo. Most of the bookmarks I had were found either through the ArtFight Discord or the new search feature they implemented this year. Jojo stood out to me because they had a unique design, and I just think stingrays are really cool. I drew a full body of them doing a simple pose with a lot of indecision on how the left arm should be. In my earlier attacks, you can see me only using the brush marker for a sort of texture that gives a sharp edge. I would also like to say, I'm a proud artist of using the sketch as line art, as you can see above. My favorite part is always coloring. It's relaxing and I love seeing a piece go from base colors to fully shaded. It was fun to color pick from their palette too. It consists of muted grays, blues, greens, and yellows, but the pink pops out. The background I just came up with randomly on the spot because I wanted to do an underwater-esque scene. But also I was getting tired and wanted to wrap up day 1 of ArtFight for today. Overall, I definitely see some key differences from my first attack to my most recent, namely, me using only 1 brush, but I still like it a lot. This fellow here is Gligas by Isa42069, a bubbly alien with rainbow hair. I definitely shouldn't have drawn with such a thick sketch, which you can see why later on, when I'm coloring. I drew a simple half body, and I wanted to make them look cutesy, with double peace signs. Since it's double the peace, know. It screams, we come in peace, twice. Gligas was also just a terrific opportunity to pull out my beautiful palette of saturated colors. However, only then did I realize that my thick sketch would be a big issue because it made the linear art really bold. And I color on the same layer as my sketch. I generally use very few layers because it's easier to keep track of. I see some artists have like a 100 layers, and I'm shocked. I have no idea how they keep track of all of that. Honestly, props to them. I would forget what layer 72 is like. In the finished product of my attack, there's a bit of black sticking out at some parts. It's not that visible, but it's still, I shouldn't have made the black to bold. Other than that part, rendering went by smoothly. I loved the hair, with the groups of colors from red to purple. It's a nice design. I also put purple hatching on the clothes to make it pop out. This is a scrumptious piece of art. I do wish I put more effort into the background. There's a missed opportunity for a spaceship flying around. So far, I've been drawing humanoid characters, which is okay, but ArtFight is the perfect event for experimentation. So I decided to draw Deepsy's OC, Pingu. I'm actually not sure if Pingu is a fox, or a cat, or even a dog, but I know that the penguin hat is absolutely adorable. One of the struggles I had was 100% the pose. I'm not that experienced with drawing animals, unless you count doodling cats. I tried to go for a delicate leaping pose, but the body proportions ended up really wonky, and I have no idea how the legs would work, specifically the left arm, since I wasn't sure how it would look like curled without breaking their arm. I had to conduct my research on this matter by watching how to draw cats tutorials, and also using my cat as a subject. I got there eventually, and now they look like they're prancing through the snow. I'm really happy about that part. The next parts of the artwork were just my normal routine of coloring. I was gonna draw a snowy forest background, but then I decided to go for something simpler, so Pingu could be the main focus. I opted with snowflakes, which were very fun to draw. Overall, this was a very good experiment, drawing animals. This was my revenge for Renvyush, who sent me my first ever defense. I looked at their OCs and chose Mira, who's described as a girl who befriends Tsukumogami. She's a cheery, playful person who always wears a kitsune mask, so I went for a pose of her giggling. I positioned her kitsune mask to be front and center, like it's smiling at you. One thing for sure about ArtFight is that you will have to draw a lot of hands. Like, a lot. I applaud people who can draw hands seamlessly. Cause while I would say I'm good, I'm not a master, and I still use my hands as a reference for complicated poses. I just don't like how you have to account the differences between the left and right thumbs. It's annoying. I like the texture I put into her hair with the streaks and the cross-hatching under her neck. I was mostly done with everything. Just some extra touch-ups I had to do. The colors, I wasn't happy about. But once I applied a gradient map, it gave the blues and pinks more vibrancy, making Mira shine out more. The background is just a simple orange with confetti. That was the best I could come up with, other than a plain circle. Don't worry, I didn't forget her Tsukumogami buddies. My first week went by swimmingly. I did attacks every day, so I took a break for 2 days. But then I realized I was going to be out of town for the entire second week. That meant I could only do digital attacks, and I'll have very little time to draw. I know, ArtFight is a chill event that isn't about winning, but I wasn't about to let crystals down. I had to score some points, so the animal bones don't win. My plan for my next attack was to do a character interaction. I decided to draw this lovely couple, Kanlua and Park Young-young. I noticed in their character descriptions that they're both introverted people, which gave me an idea that they would be quite flustered, holding hands. I drew over my rough sketch, and yes, I got distracted drawing Kan instead of finishing my outline. I just wanted to get into rendering immediately that I forgot about Park. Oops, now I have to reciprocate the same rendering on Park. Sigh, why do I do this to myself? Her color palette was easy to work with, and I like the rosy colors I used on her. I fixed her hair up too, so it looks shiny. I got to work with Park. I wish I drew his hair less wonky. Since compared to Kan's, it looks static and flat. I think it needed more volume. Also, can you tell that he's tugging on his tie here? It's supposed to be him fidgeting, though I'm not sure if it looks like that or he just has a bent finger. Same thing with Kan. He also has a good color palette. I used the same colors as Ken's uniform on him. After rendering, I thought it needed more pizzazz, so I took to YouTube and watched a video on quick dramatic lighting. And oh my god, the art went from plain to glowing. I love the sunset vibes, with the bright white background, like they're walking home from school. Man, this is why I should have learned how to actually use a multiply layer. I loved the improvement. For the final touch-ups, I used this Horimiya art as inspo for the cherry blossoms at the top. And voila, the art piece is done. Let's see how many points I got. 92.5? Oh wait, I forgot. This is a friendly fire. Aw shucks, well, I'll take it. After my last attack, I was looking to do a quick chibi attack before the second week of ArtFight ended. I looked through my bookmarks and picked Wee Sheep Saucy, Shiloh Reyes. They're described as a cryptozoologist with a crush on Bigfoot. That got the gears turning in my head, and I had an idea to use the Sonic and Amy meme as reference for Shiloh surrounded by Bigfoots. Or big feet. Does anyone know the plural? I'm just going with big feet. I know I just said I wanted to do a quick attack, but when you draw a bunch of big feet repeatedly, it gets time consuming. In total, I had 8 big feet in all kinds of directions. The photo I was using for the big feet was this guy here, and it's only facing one side. So, most of the time I was making up what the big feet would look like in another direction. I probably should have used another photo. Lol. I cel shaded everything with orange at first, yet it started to look wrong to me. The colors didn't seem right either. It just blended with everything. Maybe it was the line art or something. I just didn't know what was off to me. Afterwards, I just played around with the filters on IbisPaint to shift the hue of the shadows, in hopes that it would look better. Then I sprinkled neon colors about as highlights. I didn't want to spend too much time trying to improve everything, so after a couple of tweaks and fixes, I just went ahead and submitted my attack. It ended up taking longer than I normally do, but that's okay. I'm just glad I got to draw another piece of art for someone. After my second week of ArtFight, I was back onto the grind. I went looking through Target hunting on Discord for more OCs to draw, and I found Isabelle by Selena is so silly. Her description states that she's an elegant lady who would do anything for her daughter. So I had an idea to have her peeking outside, perhaps watching her daughter. This TBHK art was used as my primary reference. If you're wondering, yes, TBHKR is a major inspiration for my art style. I use a lot of AIDA's, the illustrator, techniques, like unique color combinations and color value contrast. I just love the TBHK manga. I gave Isabelle a sort of magenta underside to her hair, and a deep purple for her dress, to make her the focal point. It was fun blending the flowers in her hair and gloves. I went with pink-tinted curtains and drew plants with lavender. I should have gave the plants a dark outline though, since it kind of blends in with the pinks. I didn't know what to do with the space behind Isabelle, so it's just a yellow backdrop. The next character I drew was Lisette. I was awed by her design, and the dominant green palette that I had to draw her. Her description states that she's a Reunilis Gajinka, which I had no idea what that means. I searched it up, and found out that Reunilis is a Pokemon. Sorry to all Pokemon fans, I only know like 3 Pokemon. Gajinka, on the other hand, is a Japanese word for humanization. Ah, so that's why there's a cat beanie. It's just ears. Lisette is described as a spoiled and bratty rich girl, but is great at putting on a sweet, innocent face. So I went with a pose that gave her elegance, but also acting cute for the camera. I redrew her eyes to better fit what I was trying to convey. Plus, I just like her little wink. There's a lot of features that I like from her design. Her dress, necklace, ribbons, and just a lot of beads. They're everywhere. I didn't really go out of my comfort zone for this art piece, but I did improve with my rendering process. Her hair and accessories are stylized in a way that I like. I'm proud about that. After rendering, I gave her a quick overhead lighting and a simple orange background. I feel like this piece is very reminiscent of the TBHK art style. It just gives me that vibe, with the warm greens versus the lighter pinks and oranges, plus the occasional saturated highlights. I was beginning to slow down for ArtFight so I could focus on revenging, but I still wanted to do at least one more attack for someone. I had one bookmark remaining in my folder, a character by Renatwazi named Diane. Her lore and backstory appealed to me. It was a fun read. Her description states that she was given a chance at another life after her death, and eagerly lives her life the way she wants, with her newfound freedom. I was like, you go girl. She also had a lot of fun and cute designs, and I couldn't choose only one. So, I mixed up a few of her features from each outfit. From the speed paint, it's hard to tell, but her hair is in pigtails, and I decorated it with 6 different hair clips. She's wearing a purple top with a white jacket and a silver necklace. She's quite the fashionista. I loved her unique eye shape. I like it when artists use triangles for the bottom eyelashes. Nice stylization choice. It was super fun to render everything. If you noticed, I used a lot of cross-hatching on areas like the hair, hands, clothes, and neck to give it texture. Once I was done with that part, I put a few overlays, add, and multiply layers to give it a pinkish, rosy tint. It helped to tone down the pure white I used for her clothes. And I erased some parts like the eyes and the bleached side of her hair to redirect the focal point back to her face. I did another overhead lighting. It just looks so cool. Okay, then duplicated her outline to make a pixelated reflection as a quick background fix. Alright, so this revenge art piece is one where I went crazy with my experimentation. For context, after I was done with my attacks, I began prioritizing revenges. One of these was for a mass attack I was in, an actual game by the creator, Decimatin. My OC, Katie, was included. You can see my username in the credits. I'll put the link in the description if you want to check it out for yourself. I looked at each of their characters and picked Tive, since he was the one I was the most familiar with, and he was stated to be the most complicated design. I wanted to go out of my comfort zone with this piece. I decided I would work on perspective and body horror. I never really draw body horror, so I thought this would be a good experiment. I imported a traditional sketch. I did, and traced over it. I planned for Tive to have his left arm be outstretched, with his hand reaching up to the sky, to look villainous and stuff. I tried to use the perspective tool on IbisPaint to help me out. I failed badly though. I had no idea what I was doing. So, I went with I'll learn through trial and error. Eventually, I realized the right hand makes 0 sense unless you bended your arm backwards a certain way. I fixed it. It took me an hour and a half to finally finish the sketch though. I really liked drawing his open faceplates. I decided to do hard lighting, a form of lighting that has a stark contrast between dark and light areas and not a lot of middle values, good for dramatic purposes. I filled in areas with black as a guide for later. Before I put down all my base colors, a simple palette of mostly teals, dark blues, and grays. I choose green as the shadow, then began my shading. It consisted of me adding neon blue to his eyes and tongue, plus a cool dripping effect. I also put some blotches of lighter green to his right arm and leg, so it sticks out. The shadows were changed to red instead of green, since it contrasted more with the blues. For this art, I used a sort of triangular color wheel method for color picking. In color theory context, it's 2 color combination with a third color that sticks out. So that would be blue-red, then a very neon color, which was yellow and cyan. Did that make sense? Well, after I was done with rendering, I started applying a bunch of filters until I liked it. I was going to do a shadow effect, but instead used these free flower and chain brushes. That, in my opinion, looked way cooler. This was my longest attack yet, but I'm proud of myself for this one. It's honestly one of my favorites. I loved improving my skills. They even revenged me back. Thank you for this. This was a revenge for Mantisrot's beautifully drawn attack, an OC interaction. By then, I was beginning to slow down with drawing, however. This was one of my revenges. I wanted out to them before ArtFight ended. It's a pretty late revenge since it took me 2 weeks to get back to them. Compared to their attack, it doesn't have the same effort put in, but they left a really nice comment. I'm happy about that. I used my blocky art style and picked one of their OCs that hasn't been attacked yet, Tori Min. I already had an idea of what I wanted her to do in her pose, so it was easy to translate into IbisPaint. I like how she's showing off her mini fang, and she's also bending to show off her red swords on her back. I, of course, used the most eye-straining, neon colors, and the background was made with a watercolor brush. This was my quickest attack yet, and I like how it turned out. Now that I'm done with all my revenges, I can just relax and chill until August 1st. Wait, why is the video still going? 2 more people attacked me? Well, looks like this calls for a quick revenge. My first revenge was to Australine for this defense of my girl. I decided to draw her OC, I wanted to make her seem otherworldly, so her hair is floating around. Originally, I was going to have her butterflies hold her hair up, but I scrapped that idea because I was short on time. Instead, they're just flying around her, which I like too. I gave her a backside lighting and a simple light purple background. My second revenge was for Nitro Goblin. For this defense of my boy, she had a lot of characters to pick from, with each having interesting and unique designs. I had a hard time choosing, but ultimately I picked Nai. Even though I don't play Pokemon, I loved her outfit, especially the jacket and gloves. I went for a simple square with her silhouette, nice and easy. That was all of my digital attacks. It was a lot, but I'm glad you stuck around. Also, I just want to say, thank you, Fossil Faye, for this defense. I didn't get to you this year, but your defense is amazing. For this next section, I'll be going through all my traditional attacks. My first ever attack I did was of characters Ivan and Jay by Circrice. This next drawing is Zlop by Pillscape, which I used colored pencils for. This artwork here is of Rome by Bertronica. I pulled out my highlighters for this one. Here I have a different type of attack than my usual, an acrylic stand. This is character Melody by Sad Butters. She was my first ever bookmark. I did a watercolor attack of Boijobu's characters, Noah, Mud, and Bobo, inspired by my neighbor Totoro. For these last traditional attacks, they were revenges for Bertix and Carlitos. The drawing on the left is Maya by Bertix, who attacked me with this artwork. The drawing on the right is Shula Sparks by Carlitos, who gave this piece of art. I used alcohol and paint markers for both drawings. I tried to use different sorts of media for my traditional attacks, and I really liked how they all turned out. Phew, that was all 20 of my attacks. My battle stats for crystals were, drum roll please, a ratio of 57.1%. I received 1,371.5 points and made 14 normal attacks and 6 friendly fires. I feel like there was a higher number of crystals compared to fossils, since so many people I wanted to attack were on the same team as me. I got 15 defenses, and if you count them, 5 mass attacks. I appreciate all the art I got. Thank you so much for them. The character that had the most art was my girl Violet, with 8 attacks. I'm glad people really like her design. It's just so multicolored and fun. My second in place character was Katie, with 6 attacks. She's technically one of my first OCs that I ever made, so she's quite special. Third character was my boy Mazis with 4 attacks. I was a little sad to see him with less attacks than his twin, Violet, but that didn't stop me from loving each art of him. And the fourth character was Simon, with 3 attacks. The one where he got turned into cheesecake was funny. I loved every art of him. And for my DND OC, they got 1 attack. I'm gonna treasure that 1 attack forever, muhahaha. As I'm reflecting on ArtFight, I'll showcase them here. Overall, the event was amazing. The community is incredibly welcoming and kind. And while I didn't interact much on Discord, the general chat moved at like 100 miles per hour. There was a lot of people that shared my interests. I'm not sure how many people found me through my ads, but putting yourself out there seems to help people find your profile more. I would always get so excited to see a notification, to the point I checked the website every day. Sometimes there would be drama about ArtFight, involving AI usage or tracing, or in general, toxicity. Personally, for me, I didn't see those at all. It could be because I kept away from social media for a bit, and I don't have TikTok. I do understand feeling upset that the person you attacked didn't comment on your art, but don't let it bother at you. You still created a fantastic piece of art anyways. I'm proud of myself for just drawing 20 drawings in a month, and my confidence in my digital art skills have grown tremendously. Thank you to everyone who took the time to draw my characters. I appreciate you so much, and I'm so grateful for them. And thank you to all the people who left me nice comments on my profile. I read all of them. I'm going to take a well-needed rest because I spent 4 days straight editing this video. But thanks for sticking until the end. Leave a comment or like if you want. See you later.